Welcome back to my workshop. Luke tells us a story of two disciples walking on the road to a village called Emmaus. They were walking on that first Easter Sunday, and as they walked, they were discussing all the momentous events that had occurred. Jesus' death, the rumors of Jesus' resurrection, and while they were talking, a fellow traveler, overhearing them, came and asked them, "What are you talking about?" That traveler was Jesus, but they didn't recognize him. The disciples were astonished that this man apparently didn't know all the big events that occurred. So they told him about Jesus, his death, and the story they'd heard that he was alive. And they expressed their dashed hopes that Jesus would be the one to redeem Israel. Remember that Easter video when I told about the conflict between Jesus and Rome? People expected Jesus as Messiah to defeat Rome in military battles. Our Messiah, our King, our Jesus defeats death and violence with a love that is willing to suffer and die. The disciples did not understand the scriptures correctly, so they did not expect that kind of Jesus, that kind of King, that kind of Messiah. The fellow traveler, using the very scriptures the disciples thought they already knew, explained to them how the Messiah must suffer and die before being vindicated by resurrection. About that time, they had reached Emmaus. And still having not recognized Jesus as Jesus, they invited this new acquaintance to stay with them. It was about evening, and that was the polite and hospitable thing to do, and they had enjoyed talking to him and his insight. He joined them, and soon they were at a meal. And this man took the bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to them. And in that moment, they recognized him as Jesus. And after that, he vanished. I bet that part of the story reminds you of communion. Do you think that reminded those two disciples of communion? I think Jesus still reveals himself to us in communion. I miss having communion. In a few weeks, or maybe even a few months, we'll get back together. We'll have a Children's Sunday, and we'll receive communion together. And maybe you'll be the one giving me communion. I'm looking forward to it. I've been working some more with the leaves, starting with this larger stalk and working out to try to get more of a cottonwood leaf shape. This is getting close, somewhere kind of in between this shape and this shape. Going to experiment a little bit more and then work with a smaller stalk again. This bigger stalk gives me more metal to move around and it's easier to work. But if the leaves are this big, the tree's going to be too big. So a few more leaves and we'll get this project underway. Have a great week.